I need a man who is going places, Dave, not someone who is happy just existing. Those were the last words my wife, Sarah, said to me as she zipped up her Louis Vuitton suitcase, a suitcase I bought her for our anniversary. She stood in our hallway, looking at me with pure disappointment. "Gavin is a CEO," she said, her voice dripping with admiration. "He has vision. He has a future. You're just stable." She walked out the door, got into a matte black Lamborghini waiting at the curb, and didn't look back. She thought she was upgrading. She thought she was trading a Honda Civic for a Ferrari. What Sarah didn't know was that stability is just another word for power. She didn't know that for the last 5 years, I wasn't just an accountant. I was the silent partner in a private equity firm that controlled half the city's tech sector. And that Lamborghini she hopped into, it was leased. And the company Gavin was the CEO of, it was 3 weeks away from bankruptcy. And the only person who could save it was the boring husband she just walked out on. This is the story of how my ex-wife tried to destroy me and ended up handing me the keys to her new boyfriend's life. My name is Dave, and for 10 years, I played the part perfectly. To the outside world, I was a mid-level financial consultant. I drove a 4-year-old SUV, I wore off-the-rack suits, I checked for coupons before we went grocery shopping. It wasn't that we were poor, we were comfortable, but I was building something. I was pouring every extra dollar into Apex Capital, a boutique investment firm I started with my college roommate, Mark. We were playing the long game, reinvesting everything, living lean so we could live like kings later. I wanted to surprise Sarah. My plan was simple. On our 10th anniversary, I was going to reveal the truth. I was going to show her the accounts, the portfolio, the millions in assets. I was going to hand her the deed to a lake house she'd always wanted. We were 6 months away from that anniversary when things changed. Sarah started getting bored. It started small. She stopped asking about my day. She started spending more time on her phone. She started complaining about our small life. "Why don't we go to Tulum like the Millers?" she'd ask. "Why do you still drive that truck? Why are you always working on spreadsheets?" I tried to explain that we were building a future. "Future?" she scoffed. "Dave, I'm living in the present, and the present is boring." Then came the new job. She got hired as an executive assistant at Logistics Corp, a shipping and tech company run by a guy named Gavin Reynolds. Suddenly, everything was about Gavin. Gavin took the team to a steakhouse for lunch today. Gavin is thinking of taking the company public. Gavin says you have to spend money to make money. I should have seen the red flags. The late nights at the office, the weekend conferences, the sudden upgrade in her wardrobe, dresses that cost more than her monthly salary. But I trusted her. I was the boring, steady husband. Why would I doubt her? The truth came out on a Tuesday. I had left work early because I wasn't feeling well. I pulled into her driveway at 2 p.m. There was a car already there, a matte black Lamborghini Urus. It was parked aggressively, taking up 2 spots. The license plate read Gavin-1. My stomach dropped. I walked to the front door, but it was locked. I used my key. I didn't yell. I didn't storm in. I just walked to the living room. They were there, Sarah and Gavin. They weren't even hiding it. They were sitting on my couch, looking at Zillow listings on an iPad. They were laughing. When they saw me, the laughter stopped. Sarah stood up. She didn't look guilty. She looked relieved. "Dave," she said, "you're home early." "Who is this?" I asked, even though I knew. Gavin stood up. He was taller than me, wearing a suit that was too tight and a watch that was too big. He looked at me like I was the intruder. "I'm Gavin," he said, reaching out a hand. "We need to talk, buddy." I didn't shake his hand. "Get out of my house." "It's not your house anymore, Dave," Sarah said. Her voice was cold, ice cold. "I'm filing for divorce." I looked at her. 10 years of marriage. The struggles, the savings, the plans, gone in a second. "Why?" I asked. That's when she gave the speech about ambition, about how I was average, about how Gavin was a winner. "I'm 32, Dave. I deserve a life of excitement. Gavin can give me that. He's a CEO. He moves mountains. You just move numbers." She packed a bag. Gavin leaned against the doorframe, smirking the whole time. "Don't worry, Dave," Gavin said as they walked out. "I'll take good care of her. Maybe you can find someone more your speed, like a librarian." They drove off. The engine of that Lamborghini roared so loud it shook the windows. I sat in the empty living room. I didn't cry. I just felt a switch flip inside my brain. Sadness didn't come. Due diligence came. The next morning, I didn't go to my consulting job. I went to the headquarters of Apex Capital. I walked past the reception, scanned my badge, and walked into the partner's office. My business partner, Mark, looked up. "Dave, I thought you were taking the week off for the anniversary prep." "Change of plans," I said. "Pull everything we have on Logistics Corp. Gavin Reynolds." Mark typed for a few seconds. "Logistics Corp? Yeah, we know them. Mid-sized shipping logistics. They applied for Series B funding last month. Why? What's their status?" Mark turned the screen around. It was a sea of red ink. "They're bleeding," Mark explained. "Gavin is good at sales but terrible at operations. He's burning $500,000 a month on marketing, mostly parties and personal branding. He's leveraged to the hilt. He owes money to 3 different banks, and his primary operating line of credit is with, wait for it." Mark clicked a button. "It's with a subsidiary of ours, Venture Debt Holdings." I smiled. It was the first time I had smiled in 24 hours. "So we own his debt?" I asked. "Technically, yes. We bought the note in a bundle last quarter. He has a $2 million balloon payment due this Thursday." "Does he have the cash?" Mark laughed. "Dave, looking at these accounts, he doesn't even have cash for payroll next week. He's banking everything on a renewal. If we don't renew his loan, he's finished." I sat back in my chair. Sarah left me for a winner. She left me for a man who is spending money he didn't have to impress people he didn't like. "Mark," I said, "I want to take the meeting with him on Thursday." "You? You never take the borrower meetings. You're the silent partner." "Not this time," I said. "Set it up. Tell him the senior director of capital is coming to review his vision." Thursday came. I sat at the head of the boardroom table. I was wearing a hoodie and jeans. I looked like I was there to fix the IT equipment. Mark sat next to me in a full suit. At 10 a.m., the door opened. Gavin walked in. He was wearing a shiny gray suit, and walking right behind him, carrying his notepad, was Sarah. She looked expensive. New hair, new bag. She was glowing until she looked at the end of the table. She stopped dead in her tracks. "Dave?" she whispered. Gavin looked up from his phone. He squinted at me. "Whoa," Gavin laughed. "Dave? The ex-husband? What are you doing here? Stalking us?" He turned to Mark. "Is this some kind of joke? Why is her ex-husband sitting in your chair? Did he deliver the coffee?" Mark didn't smile. "Mr. Reynolds, please sit down." "Not until he leaves," Gavin said, pointing at me. "This is a private financial meeting. I don't need bitter ex-husbands crashing my business." "I'm not crashing," I said quietly. "You're an accountant, Dave," Sarah snapped. She looked embarrassed. "Please, just go. You're making a scene. Gavin is trying to close a multi-million-dollar deal." "I know," I said. "I've read the proposal." I picked up the file on the table. "You're asking for a $5 million extension on your credit line," I read, "to cover expansion costs and to lease a new headquarters." Gavin snatched the file from my hand. "Hey, that's confidential. Security." "Gavin," Mark said, his voice cutting through the room. "Sit down." Gavin paused. He sensed the shift in the room. He slowly sat down. Sarah sat next to him, glaring at me. "Mr. Reynolds," Mark said, "you are looking at David. He is the majority shareholder and managing partner of Apex Capital. He owns the firm." The silence in that room was deafening. You could hear the air conditioning hum. Gavin blinked. "What?" Sarah shook her head. "No, that's a lie. Dave makes $60,000 a year, he told me." "I told you I was in financial consulting. I consulted on how to invest my own money. And Sarah, I tried to tell you. I was planning to show you everything on our anniversary. The lake house, the portfolio, the trust fund for our future kids. Sarah's face went pale. But you didn't want the future, I continued. You wanted the present. You wanted Gavin. I turned to Gavin. So, let's talk business, Gavin. Gavin was sweating now, visibly sweating. Look, Dave, Sir, Gavin stammered. I didn't know, okay? If this is about Sarah, business is business, right? We can separate the personal stuff. I agree, I said. Let's look at the business. I projected his financials onto the screen behind me. You were claiming $10 million in assets, but $4 million of that is brand value, which is imaginary. Your warehouse is mortgaged, your inventory is outdated, and your cash flow is negative. We're in a growth phase, I argued. No, you're in a spending phase, specifically personal spending. I slid a paper across the table. You charged a $4,000 monthly lease for a Lamborghini Urban to the company account. You charged a penthouse rental in the city center to office expenses. You charged a trip to Cabo last week to client acquisition. Sarah looked at the paper. Then she looked at Gavin. You told me you owned the penthouse, she whispered. Gavin ignored her. Everyone does it. It's creative accounting. It's fraud, and it's a breach of your loan covenants. I took a pen out of my pocket. Gavin, under the terms of your debt agreement, Apex Capital has the right to call the loan immediately if covenants are breached. You owe us $2.1 million today. I don't have it. I know, which means we are exercising our right to seize collateral. I looked him in the eye. We are taking the company, the warehouse, the IP, the accounts. You can't do that. I just did. My legal team is filing the papers now. You are removed as CEO effective immediately. I turned to Sarah. And Sarah, the company car, the Lamborghini, it's company property. My security team is waiting downstairs to collect the keys. But that's my ride home. Not anymore. You can call an Uber, or you can walk. I hear it's good for ambition. Security escorted them out of the building. I watched from the window. I saw the tow truck hooking up the matte black Lamborghini. I saw Gavin screaming into his phone, realizing his contacts wouldn't answer him anymore. And I saw Sarah. She stood on the sidewalk, holding her Louis Vuitton bag. She looked up at the building. She knew I was watching. She pulled out her phone. My phone buzzed. New message from Sarah. Dave, please, he lied to me. I made a mistake. Can we talk? I looked at the message. I thought about the 10 years. I thought about the anniversary surprise I never got to give her. Then I thought about her calling me average. I typed a reply. You wanted a man with vision, Sarah. My vision for the future just doesn't include you. I blocked the number. I kept the company. We restructured it, fired Gavin, and turned it profitable in 6 months. I still live in my modest house. I still drive my truck. But sometimes when I see a matte black Lamborghini on the street, I smile, because I know the difference between looking rich and being powerful. Thanks for watching. If you think Sarah got what she deserved, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about why you should never judge a book by